Yo. What up, folks? Mikey G, Matty Mintz here. Midlife Crisis come to you early today. We're super excited. Had some community members and acquaintances reach out to us to say if we were interested in talking to these two beautiful humans on the other side of the screen. And we said yes, so here we are. I'm feeling freaking excited. We got so much going on, having a great day. Matty, how you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good, man. It was a very busy day today.
Yeah.
And so this is and of course we're doing the stream a little bit early than normal. So just kind of at this point it's just like the day hasn't stopped yet. So I'm just rolling right into it. I'm excited. It's good. It's going to be fun.
I know. I'm excited too. And I'm also impressed. We're double digit viewership already at way earlier of a time. So shit, man, it's happening.
Nice.
We got the people, and it's probably all your guys' followers, not ours. But hey, listen, no, we got some hardcore people. And that being said, thank you for all the subs, the follows. We already saw a couple things happen in the background. We have everything shut off because we're gonna have an amazing conversation and talk about web life, Web3, NFTs, and the whole nine. With that being said as well, I always need to do the little midlife crisis lowdown because this will be going straight to YouTube and someone could watch this not live. So for all you new people out there that have not heard this spiel, man, Maddie and I met at the 4th grade bus stop. We've known each other for over 30 years, folks. Very rare this day and age you stay connected. We went to college together. We stayed acquainted throughout our, professional careers, made sure to continue our friendship. And about 2 years ago, pandemic hit and we started streaming and we were playing video games. And we said, hey, man, let's start a business because when we were young, I shit you not, we always talked about how cool would it be to start a business with your best friend. Well, here we are. We have a business. It's called Midlife Crisis. We fortunately were able to see the opportunity with NFTs. We've been streaming NFTs for over 6-7 months now. We talk to founders, bring them on the show, show the human side of what they're about, because our mission statement is sharing the lost art of genuine human connection. We think as we get more connected in the metaverse and hide behind these social media profiles, that is going to be a lost art to us. And that's what we do. We love to talk to humans, see the behind the scenes, and we're going to be doing that today. You're going to be able to see what we're all about, and we can't wait to have you. And hopefully you hit that subscribe, like button, follow us for the ride. With that being said, I get to introduce our two highly esteemed guests, and I'm going to start with David. So David, you're at the top of the stream, so I'll always be asking top to bottom, so it'll be David and then UGP. So David, before I ask the question, I want to introduce you to the community. And David had some fun little facts that he told us. And the one that I want to start off with is David, we've all heard of Invisible Friends. We're, big NFT people here. David was like, you know what? I'm not doing the grind thing. I'm kind of over it, and decided, hey, I'll just wait for the auction. Well, the auction hit, and little did now we all know that bad boy went for $1 million. So David's laziness ended up in a result of no NFT as well, because I don't think you had $1 million at the time to buy that, did you, David?
No, I didn't. I for sure didn't.
So in hindsight, you should have grinded, because you would have had 5 or 6 ETH in your pocket if you could have got that whitelist. In addition to that, David, for his young age, and he'll talk to you about his life, but the dude understands greatness. He is a hardcore hip hop advocate, old school rap.
Yes,
And I love how
yes.
old school is literally us growing up, but he's talking Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Dr.
Yeah,
Dre. I mean, I
and that
guess
was
it is old school.
surprising because now, Mike, honest question. When you first heard he said he was into old school hip hop, what were you expecting him to say?
I was actually expecting him to say Tupac
Because
and
I was
Biggie.
like, man, there's no way he's gonna say some of the greats, and then he just ripped out Tupac first, and I was like, did we just become best friends?
Yeah,
And
we
so
did.
that's what I
So
like to hear.
what we're getting to is David's wise beyond his years. David, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
And I'm feeling good. It's nice to be here. So big thank you to you guys for what you do, and I really love everything. So yeah.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate it.
Nice.
And before I ask you our famous question, I'm going to move on to GP. GP, a couple fun facts about GP. Dude has done a thing or two in his life. Thing or two as in, well, he's done some awesome things, but he's also maybe made a little bit of mistakes, hindsight being 2020. That first one was he bought and sold Bitcoin for $70, and he was super jazzed up when he sold Bitcoin for $200. He was like, bro, I bought that shit for $70 and I sold it for $200. I am the man.
3x.
He 3x'd his money. Little did we know that bitch went to $60,000. So looking back, it could have been a lot more. But hey, man, it happens, and you got your feet into the game, so that's cool. And then the second fact is this dude has not only done real estate, but he nonchalantly mentions, oh, yeah, I've done some small apartment complexes all the way up to billion-dollar city centers. So the guy knows a thing or two about real estate and building, communities, construction, the whole nine. Welcome to the show, GP. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, how are you, Mikey, Matty? Thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Super excited. So we're just going to have an open, honest conversation about you guys and NFTs. And how we do that is we ask one question, world famous midlife question. We're going to start with you, David. And remember, Star Wars episode 1, 2, or 3, we want it all. How did you get to the seat you're sitting in today, David?
Honestly, a lot of things went into it. So I've in my family we're very business oriented, regardless of how things are going. I started my first job was during summer at a coffee shop, and that was my first little experience. I was I think 16. That's when I first learned teamwork and what it really meant to run a business from a small scale, so from a coffee shop. Then at 17, I got introduced into a real estate project, which I got to lead with my best friend. So that was really something great to do, and something that will always stick to me and I'll always remember because it was a totally different world from the coffee shop. And then we came to NFTs. So I remember seeing this small hype, seeing it build up, and we've all been there of not believing in NFTs. We've all been there of thinking that why would I buy a picture? But then came the whole story of kind of learning a new language. I speak English, French, German, Hungarian, and NFT is almost like a new language. So when it came to learning that, we're already speaking, we're spitting blockchains left to right, whatever. Very confusing, but I thought this would be intriguing, and I really wanted to kind of step up and learn this business aspect as well, learn how quickly things move, because we know that each week some things change, or each month especially, and I think this was something that is really nice to experience and to check out. So I'm very enthusiastic about this place, and I'm definitely staying for a while.
Nice. And again, we're not going to let you off that easy because that was not Star Wars episode 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to go back a little bit here before we get to GP. One, tell me, and I'm really interested because you said a lot of very interesting things. And the first thing that you said that was interesting to me is you come from a business-oriented entrepreneurship family. Let's
That was
do a
my
deep
question.
dive, man. Talk to me about when you were 4 or 5 or, 10. What were you learning from your parents? What were their businesses? What did that look like? Yeah, what did that upbringing kind of instill in you? And what do you use to this day? I love your description of being in the coffee shop and learning teamwork. But let's back up a little bit. What did your family teach you, and what did you learn about being raised in an environment like that?
I think you'll be very surprised because one of the people is sitting in this so-called Twitch channel right now. He's GP. So this is something
Ah,
we didn't mention, but he is my father, and
Oh
yeah,
my
it's
Lord. I
I
didn't
was
know
keeping it
this.
hidden because I knew you guys were gonna chop it up, so I had to bring out something special. So I know
okay.
he will
Well
share
played.
quite a
Well
few things.
played.
Well, no, this is awesome because we've never had this dynamic before. So
Yeah.
you're now
Yeah.
totally on the spot because your dad is listening to your direct response live on stream. So pour it from the heart, man. Let GP,
Yeah.
aka Dad, hear what you think about your upbringing, what he taught you, and what, during your formative years you learned from him. I'd love to hear that.
Well, I've always admired his work ethic. So he's someone who doesn't really do a 9 to 5. He's someone who is there in the morning early and who doesn't really want to stand up and leave at night. So he really sleeps 4 or 5 hours per night. He's a heavy grinder, someone who doesn't give up, and it's something that I really appreciated always seeing. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to even tackle something like NFTs because I knew that I was entering a game, especially in Twitter spaces where some people are adults there and people are throwing around big words that I'm still learning. I'm still
Right,
getting into the whole university phase. So
right.
I'm still trying to understand a few things here and there. But I was like, someone as my dad, he kind of steps up to another level, and I always want to try and do the same. Stepping up to another level is something that's not easy, and yeah, this is something that I admire. That's the biggest thing I admire of him, that he always pushes to just that one extra bit.
Dude.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's something.
Do you think, because so we hear this a lot, right? When we talk to people and we have guests on here that say they grew up in a business oriented family, right? And usually one or both parents were part of either some type of a family business, maybe they were high level, executives or whatever it might be. Work ethic comes back as a common theme, right? Because you can't, GP, as you know, it just takes long hours, right? To do that, it just takes hours. And when we get to you, I have some questions about that. But for you, David, you saw the example of work ethic, but what were some of the principles that you took back beyond that? Because work ethic is crucial, right? If you don't do something, nothing happens. But you have to apply it in kind of a directive area. Do you feel like understanding that you start to learn maybe a little bit differently how money works, or maybe how wealth is created? Do some of those things also come into play? Tell us about that.
Definitely. So, it's been since I really started to work that I really understood the value of money, how it's not
Hmm.
easy to earn, how
Yeah.
it takes a lot of effort to just earn the $1, $2 or whatever. So that's why when I went to for example, the coffee shop, I was helping out with making orange juices, but I was mainly cleaning the dishes because, I was really trying to get to the bottom of it on where it really starts. So cleaning the dishes
Mm,
is something that people might forget in a restaurant or wherever. And, those people are still there and those people are doing these jobs. So
right.
Yeah.
I had to try, I had to see, and man, it's a lot of effort and it's a lot of work and you're sweating the whole day and you see new plates that are disgusting coming in and you have to clean it back and
Hmm.
forth, same thing over and over. So
So
that's something.
I know that's amazing. So what you did is you allowed yourself to essentially be uncomfortable and see, here's what, because by the way, most of the world does exactly what you're saying, right? Most of the people out there are employees. They're not business owners or investors, right? That's how 98% of the world creates income, right? They trade hours for dollars. And you said, I want to trade the worst hours for dollars that's there to kind of see what that looks like. So was that whole thing just to give you a life experience? Is that what the goal was? You just wanted to experience that so then maybe you could go in and say, okay, I know what I don't want. Is it something like that?
Yeah, we can look at it this way, but what I mostly try to extract of it is my dad has always told me that to really be able to understand the business and to lead it, you have to know every aspect of it.
Every aspect.
And
Yep. I love it.
so I had to really go down to every step and even try to build up. After a few weeks, I was already trying to make coffees as a
Yeah.
barista.
Right.
So I wasn't assigned to that, but I still asked and I tried, and just to see every kind of step on how it goes down.
Right.
Absolutely.
And dude, well, you just gave me. I think we might have to create an MLC shirt, and the quote is just simple: "Hard work starts with cleaning dishes." That's just I just totally picked that up from what you said. I love it. These are all. This is so cool that we have this dynamic. I'm like, you don't understand how excited Maddie and I are now that we have father and son on stream. One of the things, like, I love this coffee analogy, and I'm putting you on the spot here a little bit. And if you don't have an answer, I can't think of anything, that's fine. But are there any like childhood memories or things that you did with your dad that like stand out to you as like you went fishing and he told you a life lesson, or you did X and it was just an impactful like, this really resonated with how I want to form my mindset for the future?
I think I want to mention two things here. So one, you already mentioned it, which is fishing. We've always gone down to, yeah, we've fished. He has taught me how to fish, tiny, tiny things. And it was always exciting because I was very happy to always show him just the smallest fish that I caught. So
Mhm.
that was always a good memory. And another thing that I really want to touch upon is the fact that regardless if he works from home or if he went into his office building, he was always wearing a shirt and a suit. So he always put himself in the work mode wherever he was. He didn't let himself get that comfort, because that's something I see now, that the moment you kind of let yourself have the comfort, that's when you'll be less efficient, or that's when you'll start slacking from left to right. So
Right.
that's something I also want to try to really get down.
Oh, I love
That is
it.
amazing. Yeah. One thing you notice this same thing, Mike? I'm curious. The head start that having the generational advantage to having parents that understand how money works,
Yes.
teaching it to their kids.
Huge.
I mean, you saying this stuff at 18, that took me much longer than 18
Yeah.
to learn, because I was sitting there at 18, that's when I'm like finally reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and getting my mind blown by Robert Kiyosaki, going like, wait, what do you mean make money? Like make money? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Right.
and so there was this massive learning curve that you got from catching fish all the way to 18 that I didn't even start until I was really in college and starting to, I had that dishwasher job,
Yep.
and I was like, this sucks. You know what I mean? I don't want to do this. And I was looking around. I'm like, well, that person's not doing this, and they're driving a cool car, and they seem to have their stuff. And it was like a lot of kind of hit or miss, me trying to find the right mentor, whereas you grew up with one, right? And so that's a massive advantage. That is so cool. What else you got, Mike? What were you thinking?
So I think you did us justice. We'll go into your journey into Web3, but I want to get to GP now. GP, David just did a damn good job. So you're gonna have to, as the elder, one up him. Famous midlife crisis question: how did you get to the seat you sat in? And Star Wars Episode 1, 2, 3 for us as well.
How I started, that's what the question is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you
Tell
were,
us, how'd you get your
can
start?
start in high school, you can start in
Yeah,
college, you can start when you worked for your first company, but we
I,
need you to go back a ways.
yeah. I was born in Hungary, and that's an important part of it,
Okay.
because in 1990, when I was 18, and that was the time when the old system changed to the new one, meaning from the old
Mm.
socialist system and everything was managed by the government,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
changed to the open market.
Mm-hmm.
So I was lucky enough to born in a good year when I was able to hop in a market which basically didn't exist. So every element of the market, from private restaurants to the private owned hotels, from the everything was basically a free place, free to go. So what I was doing is basically I created my first company when I was 18, really self-made without parents' background. So parents' background meaning financial background, because
Yeah.
I had
Mm-hmm.
obviously a very good background when it comes to my mother and my father. But it was a good year to start. Obviously, I had to work 7 days a week, and as David says, this is not a joke. People are simplifying just 10 hours, 12 hours. No, this is 16 or 18.
Mm.
And people are, this many people are listening to these numbers and they feel just a number, or this is just a figure of speech. No, this is a fact. And when you put yourself in and you feel a little success here, little success there, you feel like, oh, that's a place to grow. So I was always a person who loved to build, whatever it
Yeah.
is. It can be a building, can be a company, can be a garden, can be something great.
Mm.
And this is what triggers me the most. Whatever is happening, the innovation, the growth, the development, this is what is giving me, since I know myself, let's call it this way, or maybe since I'm 18, this is my driver to go with the development, whatever it is. And I was lucky enough to develop the real estate market in Hungary because I was one of the first one who had the
Yeah.
license to do real estate.
Yep.
So it was very nice, a young guy who tried hard. I remember many foreigner clients came to Hungary, and I had to basically pretend that the business is my father's business because it was weird when a 22 years old has 30 employees. It was
Yeah. Right.
somehow, and that was the way to go. And I really love to. I'm a bit control freak. That's true. I was really trying to be on the spot with every issues, small issues, to understand how the building built and how it goes and what's wrong, what's good. So I was really on the first on the construction, and I was the last who left from the construction. So
Right.
this is my mentality. And as David says, I really love to put myself in something. So
Yeah.
my also statement is like either you do something or you don't, and this is not just Master Yoda. This is really my opinion. Like
Right.
do or don't do between. That's basically don't
Ooh,
even.
is that a Yoda quote? I think that's a Yoda quote. Do or do not. There is no try. Just saying. He went with the Star Wars.
I love
Absolutely.
it.
So this is I think we can put in on the other T-shirt. Like it's a very
Yes.
important element.
I love it. So actually, I want to rewind for a second, real quick, because so you started your business at 18, and you recognize that you attribute some of your success to the fact that you were first to get your licenses. But here's my question: where did the vision come from to know real estate, right? Because like you said, the whole economy was changing. If it sounds like just as an entrepreneurial person, you could have jumped into any field. Why did you jump into real estate? What was it that attracted you to
Great
that?
question.
Did somebody lead that? Like what got that in your head to think real estate?
I studied Italian in the high school, and I was lucky enough to go to Italy for a student exchange when I was 17, 16, whatever. And
Yeah.
one of the parents where I stayed was coming to Hungary, and he wanted to rent an apartment. And turned out there is no such a thing like real estate agency. And I was thinking like, but why is not such a thing? I am just a young guy. Like somebody has to work with that. Like why it doesn't exist? And they said, if it doesn't exist, let's create one.
There it
So I
is.
created the first real estate
Solve the
agency
problem.
in Hungary. So
That's
basically,
it.
a problem solving for a friend.
Dude, I love
love
that.
it.
That is
love it.
literally where most entrepreneurs and great ideas start.
It's
I want to
fantastic.
follow up because I think you said something before we move on to more of how you got to Web3. Um, you said something very interesting, which was how fortunate you were to be in the position of, you know, literally the way of your country changing and being early and being the first. How much do you recognize being the first or attribute that to your success? Is it something you still think is very important to get a head start? Do you think your career would have been different if Hungary had already been opened up and you weren't the first? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that.
That's we don't know, and we will never know, because that was the year, that was the time. And
Yeah.
if you ask me, would I have done the same? Probably, but again, I'm a development freak person. So
Right.
whenever I found my challenge to develop something new, something great, to build
Right.
something from scratch,
Right.
probably I would have put myself in.
Right.
And if you talk about the building, that's an easy to imagine. But if you
Right.
talk about technology, I am the same person.
Right.
So to build is not just the property or the brick on a brick can happen. That can happen in technology as well. So
Right.
would I be the same so-called developer? I believe so. Would I have done real estate? Maybe.
Right. Right.
This is probably the correct answer.
So I love your answer there, because what you really answered with is you build things, you develop things, and that is what really is at the essence of who you are. Being first in real estate helped, but that you as a being in your essence would not have changed. I think Maddie and I talk about this all the time. Being first to things is advantageous. There's no denying that, right? Now what you do with that is a product of who you are, how hard you work, and can you get through the shitty parts in life and keep on going, right? So I think that's a really interesting answer. Taking that of just this concept of being early, did you think about that as why why Web3? Was that one of your main drivers, or was it more, oh, here's another open space and cool things to build?
I have two answers.
Okay.
Here. One is about how I came to Web3, because that's when I came through crypto. And the second one, why I found Web3 an interesting space and what's triggering me to be in Web3, not just a collector of NFTs, to be a founder, to be an investor, to be a person who is really participating in the space. So there's two different groups.
Okay.
When comes when the first part through crypto, and why crypto? 2008 was an extremely big hit on the real estate market. We were struggling like crazy. Why?
For sure.
Because the banks simply, let's be diplomatic, changed. Okay, the old bubble we came to the spotlight, and the banks started to make everybody life horrible. We can talk about private. We can talk about big real estate developer companies, and simply we had to realize the bank, like an institution, in this form, how it worked before 2008, will not work in the future.
Right.
I strongly believe, and the crypto, when it comes Bitcoin, a big hit, and we had to realize.
Hold on. You cut out there.
We lost you for just a second.
We lost you for like a couple seconds. So go back to, I heard crypto and Bitcoin.
Yeah. So I believe Bitcoin was created to be an answer on the 2008 events, and this total distrust to the bank system, which, by the way, is going in the same direction since then. So nothing nothing changed for better. Everything is changing for worse.
Yep.
So that's why crypto, like an alternative, like a sort of, it sounds crazy when we are saying a secured payment method, a secured wealth holding method is an alternative to the so-called now secured bank sector. So it's a very interesting part. And I believe in the theory, even if you check who created the first smart contract and even the terminology, it was also a Hungarian guy with a Hungarian background, Nick Szabo. You can check. And when comes Bitcoin, he's one of the possibility when people are thinking who has some involvement. Obviously, no one knows. But I think crypto became a sort of hope for the future when it comes finance, which is a basic part of real estate. So for me, like personally speaking, I realized this decentralized financing and blockchain possibilities. Obviously, I couldn't clearly express what exactly it is in 2010 or 11 because we just learned what's
right.
But I had this feeling this will change the previous world order when it comes financing. I didn't know how long it will take. Obviously, I hoped it will be faster. I hoped it will work in another way.
Yeah.
So my way to enter in the crypto world was basically the disappointments of the normal, regular financial world. So that's why I came to crypto. And for me, the road from there was quite simple. As I told you, the story, what is a quite famous one, because we are talking about a significant amount of Bitcoin, not just 1 or 2 Bitcoin, what I bought for $70 and I sold for 220. What you have to know, after I had a full weekend, what I was partying with 50 people from the profit, what I made, and I was so proud of myself, like how I made 3x and unbelievable. And I felt I am the smartest guy on the planet. And then I learned it's not true. So, and then, after I did over 4,000, I started to build back my portfolio. And since then, I'm not selling and I will not sell any, not even one bit.
I love
it. So for me, this is the crypto world. And when comes the Web3 and the whole space where we are, for me, is really intriguing. I love the community building. I love people. And I really appreciate you guys because you are focusing on people. And I believe at the end we have to focus on really people.
Yeah.
Because this is what matters.
Yep.
I personally care about people when it comes to a project much more than the project. It sounds probably weird, but I feel you and I hear you. This is what you are saying.
Yeah.
So at the end, people leading the operation, we have to trust people or we have to don't trust. It's very simple.
Right.
And and Web3 gave an opportunity to really meet people from all around the world, from different social backgrounds, to have a conversation, to keep the conversation going, listen to other opinion. But for me, it's very important in my life because if we know what's going on, what are the real opinion without having a so-called transformer, so-called media, who is changing the meaning. We don't see the truth. We don't see really the words, hear the words. I think here in the Twitter space or this kind of conversations, we hear real people, real words, and we can evaluate how life works. So we can learn a lot. And this is what I admire the most in Web3. Every single day, I'm learning a lot.
Dude, so it's very interesting to hear that answer because you come from a very successful, entrepreneur financial background. And the thing that got you into Web3 the most is like the community person aspect, which is awesome because I think that is the true power of Web3. The technology is great, but this community aspect is just a game changer in essence. Awesome stories, all of those awesome stories. The one thing I don't want to miss is we got through, and I probably got ahead of myself, but the last thing I want to talk to you about your background is you get into real estate. Can you talk to us about you building your company from the mid-20s till up to you start transitioning into Web3. Are there things with, I think you mentioned, well, let's start here. Two-part question. One, just cover that territory of like, all right, now you're in your mid-20s, you have a real estate and company, and then up till when you start getting into Web3, because you just told us about that. And then from that time period, are there any lessons that you are taking from your experience into Web3 as these are some tools that I think will help me be successful in this space? So it's a two-part question. So let's start with one, just recapping mid-20s up till when you learn about Web3. What did that part of your life look like?
Well, from mid-20s until let's say until 2008, because I think that's a crucial point in my life when it comes to real estate. I learned how, as David said before, you have to catch for the small fish to be able to catch for the big one. So you cannot skip,
I like that.
you can simply not skip certain moments. You cannot make shortcuts. You think you can, you cannot. It will bite back always. So this is one part what I learned from that.
Dude, you have three shirts. You have 3 shirt quotes already. You're killing it.
I know, man.
Tonight.
You guys are going to start a brand here soon. Okay.
Dude, you have to start with small fish. You can't go straight to the top because it'll bite back. Dude, I love this.
You got to catch the small fish if you want to catch the big fish.
Dude, GP,
I like it.
you are crushing it tonight. That's all I got to say. Okay. I'm sorry. I just had to interject because that's another fantastic quote.
That's just life. We have to just listen to that. I think all of these kind of things are around us, and everybody has just people are ignoring the facts.
Right.
I'm trying to not ignore the facts. This is all. So for me, this is what I brought from. And here, when it comes transitioning, I think this transitioning is not a real transition. I'm just going somewhere what we are building together. So this is what I would say. We have a word here. We have a possibility to a little bit shape. Obviously, I'm just one from 1 million, but it's still a more chance than to really just participate something which is already there. And I'm just talking about the IRL. We know the systems are too strong, almost no possibility to really change.
Right.
So for me, what is really bringing here, we have the community and people again have a chance to shape this space for good. Obviously, we will have a lot of problems, a lot of issues. And again, for the previous one, we will go through on all steps. We have to suffer and struggle in that, like all of the scammers, all of the rugs, all of the problems, all of the ethics, the morals when it comes. David had a wonderful Twitter space a month ago about the moral, what morally we're supposed to do when it comes stolen NFTs, because we don't have yet this moral. Like you have to give it back, you have to share half. Who has to struggle in that situation? It's a moral question, not just legal question. And it was a big debate on Twitter space. We had many people there, and it was interesting to hear. Somebody was coming from the backside, somebody was coming from the side, and it was very interesting. And still, I believe we have to go through all of these problems until we will have a very interesting, very connected space in a multiple way connected, not just centralized. And that's the whole power of Web3, when we will have certain groups of people with certain moral, and certain groups will talk to each other, certain groups will not talk to each other. You can call it projects, you can call it spaces, but here everybody can find his or her place.
Yeah.
And it's really nice.
I love it.
What I would like to do, because I love that answer. That was fantastic. I want to hit that. So we talked to David about his experience with you as a dad and how that influenced him. I want to flip that question around. You're raising a son who is now 18 and can do this with you. Take us through maybe even just like maybe since 2008, how has that influenced the direction you're doing, because now it's not just about you, it's about legacy, right? It's what are you passing down? How has that been for you? Has that been just something where it's like lead by example? Has there been a concerted effort, especially for example with Web3? You moved there because the space needed to go there. You were saying how, in 2008, if centralized bacon failed and Web3 is the answer, crypto is the answer, that makes sense to move there. Was that something that, do you take an active role in kind of like mentoring or coaching David, or is this something you're just like, hey, we're going to do this together? I mean, you took him fishing and you taught him how to get the small fish, right? Is that what you're doing with this? That's my question.
I'm trying to keep open his mind, and he has to make his choices. So whenever I'm in crypto since 2013, if I'm not mistaken, and we talked about NFTs and Web3 last year. So I was already in NFT before, and I didn't pull him in. I didn't force him in. I'm trying to give him the I think the luxury is basically to have a choice, and I think that's what he has to do. He has to choose where he want to go, and as I know him, he's a very conscious, very mature person. I'm very proud of him, and not just because every father is proud of his son, and probably from my mouth is not objective, but he's a very mature person, 18 years old, and you heard him to talk, and he says, this is what he thinks. I know him, and but everybody who decide believes him or not. But at the end, his act will be judged by people, and then they will see he was good or not good. And what I like here in Web3, you have a space. In, let's say, IRL, you have to fight yourself in with a very long process, and now you have to fight yourself in a world which basically doesn't work. And that doesn't work story, if I'm looking forward in 20 years, the actual world order will simply not exist. And I want him to go in the future, not in the past. So that kind of romantic ideas of a dad to put him in a good university, get good names, and then you will go to have a job. No, because I really hope the universities will have the wonderful possibility on Web3 and not in a building somewhere, because this is already an ancient way of teaching. So I let's say I push him to understand the values, by all means, human and materials, and to choose what he feels the most, or he feels like close to him, and he can imagine the future, because we have to look forward, not backward. Backwards is good too, but when it comes building, you have to really go forward.
Dude, and I love that answer. The answer of being, I don't, because we've seen, and I'm a product of one of my best buddies growing up. He was a product of his parents telling him exactly what he needed to do when he needed to be home, and that did not end well, right? So you giving him the knowledge of here are these things out here, but the freedom to choose is monumental. And I would love to take that narrative that you just went to and kick it to you, David. So like what all of the things that GP just said, take us through kind of your journey into the crypto world, and maybe when, you experiencing your dad going through 2008 and seeing the just, I'm sure, anxiousness and hard times and, frustration that comes with that. And then you hearing about Web3, and when you first heard it, or did your dad mention to it? Did you find it on the internet? And then when your dad started talking to you about it, were you like, I love my dad, but he's a little bit off his rocker, or you're at this point saying like, yeah, kind of believe this. He has his head on straight. He's always taught me well. Love to hear about just that kind of whole experience from your perspective, from that kind of 2008 to when you found crypto.
It's a long story. But I think
we got time.
my dad is a crazy one. Yeah, my dad is a crazy one, but a good crazy. So, and I think many people kind of can resume it that way. So many people put it in these words, in these exact words, and I do agree with them. He's a really good kind of crazy and very motivational guy, motivational person, motivational bro. But it's yeah, so my whole journey into crypto, the whole frustration on him, I couldn't see it at the time back in 2008 because he kept it cool. So
Mm.
so he kind of hides it. He really, and as I said, he's long hours in the office or the home office or wherever he chooses to be and to grind it out for the day. So his basically his grinding journey didn't start on Discord when you have to get a whitelist spot at the very beginning. His
Yeah.
his, his grinding started a long time ago, and
Right.
that was, he, but I still saw him play the game whenever we entered NFTs and the whole area of Discord. I had to teach him Discord. He had to teach me crypto. So it was a whole back and forth on, okay, welcome to my world, but I know this is still your world. So it was a whole
Interesting.
back and forth thing, but really the build up to it, as he said, he didn't really influence me into crypto. That's why he kept it cool and he never talked to me about it because at the end of the day, we still have to be careful with what we're doing with NFTs. People hate to slap the word gambling on it, but it's still there. So the essence of it, sometimes it's still there and it's scary. So I also understand him not wanting to influence me into such things, but if you take the safest steps and if you really, as people say, do your own research and whatnot, you can really just be secure on your investment. So my whole build up to it, it was not very existent, but it's more the step into crypto that was a long process because it was such a mix of back and forth knowledge of him teaching me stuff, me teaching him basic stuff, which I thought was basic,
Hmm.
such as Discord. Discord for me was a home sweet home. I've known it, I've used it with friends. But then what were NFTs? For me, NFTs a long time, it was just I'm buying a picture. Why would I buy a picture? And then we started to talk about the whole blockchain, smart contracts, and how, this is just an arrow that points to the server where you find the image.
Right.
So I had so many things to learn at once, and that's why, all those times from 2008 to now that we didn't spend talking about it, it feels like it took all the time from 2008 till now to kind of get all this information packed up together and to be able to even deliver it or
Right.
talk about it. So yeah, it was a long one, but it was in a short time period, but it felt really long.
Dude, that so again, like a lot of really cool answers and insights from both of your end. And I love how you said you taught each other, right? Like it was both you playing off each other's curiosity, which is like what cooler person to do that with than your dad, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
like
amazing.
just such a for you, GP, for being a father and being, forward thinking in the space, that understanding, the potential of crypto and Web3, and then David being able to help you of like saying, "Hey, Dad, this is what Discord is, and this is how it works." And then the other thing that I said that you loved is GP rolls up his sleeves and plays the game too. He's in the Discords. He's grinding for some whitelist. This dude's made $1 billion city centers, but he's just like the rest of us, just grinding some whitelist out, trying to figure it all out. And that goes back to that testament about washing dishes, man. You going through the ringer and understanding how it works from ground up is such a very vital, important thing, whether it is you're running a restaurant or building a Web3 company or doing whatever it may be. So really cool to see how that kind of comes all full circle. Um,
Yeah,
I
I think something, Mike, that's also interesting on that is something you've said before, Mikey, is you talked about your experience at Hape and how many
right.
people have we talked to who met fantastic people in voice chats, text
Oh,
chats as a result of being in that community. And we've said this multiple times. you do not know who you're talking to when you're in these Discord servers. You know what I mean? At one point in time, somebody's sitting there chatting, and it's GP building $1 billion city center, all kinds of experience. You know what I'm saying? Just another name in a Discord channel, chatting it up, having a conversation, saying good morning like everybody else on Twitter. And so it's like, I think it's very important to just remember that
Yeah.
this space is wild. Yes, you're seeing an example of who is in this space right now on the screen. You know what I mean? From David, who's 18, to GP, who's not 18, to us, we're in our midlife crisis. It's a bunch of people, and some of them have various degrees of success, but the people who are there and are capitalizing on it are the ones that end up on this show, that are movers and shakers, that are building the successful projects.
Right.
And so sometimes we forget how powerful our network is. So many people, how do I get started? The answer is meet people in the space, because it could be a GP, right? And you have no idea. And so I just think that's something important. You've mentioned that before, Mike. I just think it's important to mention again.
Dude, I love that, and I want to add on to that like, yeah, dude, man, Hape at its top, there were athletes, there were famous people, there were people from all over the world that had a lot of money and a lot of influence, but you were none the wiser in the Discord, because there was, and I would say another thing that was just magical, and it created this real true sense of in it together and community, is because of that level of anonymity. You were able to just look at people as like into Web3 and excited about it together, right? It wasn't like, oh, this guy's a world famous tennis player, which were in Hape server, or this guy plays professional baseball, which was in Hape server, soccer players, everybody was in there. But we were all there for, just the interesting thing that Hape could provide, and was changing the industry as we knew it, and we all felt it, and we knew it was something special. So, great point. What are your thoughts there, GP and David, about this conversation here? Do you agree? Anything to add to that conversation?
I definitely want to. So I think you guys touched upon a key aspect is playing the game. I think especially in the NFT space, you have to be a player to then become a creator.
Sure.
And I haven't put much money into NFTs because I've mostly laid back and inspected. So I joined in September, and I only started investing when Ethereum was at its highest price, of course. But that's when I, tried to buy a few NFTs. Of course, I lost a lot of money because Ethereum was at 4K and stuff.
Right.
But you have to learn it, and as well, not just money wise, but I think it's very important what you guys mentioned, that you get in touch with a community, you get in touch with people, and everyone's in the same boat as you. And even currently, right now, I think regardless if you're a creator or a player, everyone's in the same boat because everyone has to help each other out in some aspect. And just this type of space that you guys lead is amazing because we have sort of connected, and now I know you guys a little more personally than before, and I really love that because I know I can contact you guys again. Hey, what's up? How are you guys doing? How are you guys going over there? How's it going over here?
Right.
And that's very important, I think, because as GP mentioned earlier, in the real world, you really have to fight. You have to put your elbows out, and here you do have to fight as well. But since we're really in the same boat, it's a totally different experience. And I'm not talking about experience like I've had many, but I feel that it's a different vibe and I really love it. So I totally support what you guys said.
Dude, you wise beyond your years, man. Like, well put together statement from someone your age. GP, any additional thoughts to what David said or your own take?
Just underline the same what I said before. You guys doing great with the personality, like when you're focusing on people, and that's what many people forget in the space. The space, they love to pretend it's an anonymous space, but at the end, every Discord handle has a person. I mean, not every, but most of the Discord handles have
right.
a
There are
real
a lot of bots out there.
and yeah, and that's, I think it's very important. And whenever the person will come to the space, will be vocal, we can really build, because when we really focusing on people and the problems of people, I think the Web3 can solve many of those problems when it comes financing, when it comes, because now still in the stage we are, when we call an NFT a JPEG, and not just technologically speaking is not correct.
Right.
In my book, the real use of the NFT will be totally different than we know now.
Right.
So whenever I first time, 2.5 years ago, I was digging myself in, I was convinced that will be the property ownership, that will be the registration book everywhere in the world. And I really looking forward whenever it's happening. All of the membership cards, all of the ticketing, all of these kind of things, what is we can call IRL daily topic, this will be managed by with NFTs.
Right.
Like what's better than an NFT to have a property ownership registration, when the hashtag you can say for hundreds of years who was the owner, when, and
what amazing.
Better can be than to transfer in a custody, whatever place, if you take some mortgages against. So it's like the real use of NFT is just coming. And I want to be there, and I want to be the person who is learning together, building together. So far beyond on the project, what we do is, for me, the long-term view. I'm talking about 5 to 15 years. That view, what I really care about. And I think if people would be more vocal and would participate more on top of the good morning, good evening, hey bro, what's up? I think that would be even better.
That's why we're here, man. We're trying to make it happen. We're bringing out the heat. Dude, amazing response once as well. Fantastic combo here.
Yeah. So one thing I want to do, because I want to get to your project, because Mike and I have lots we want to say about that too.
Yeah, because by the way, we've been talking for over an hour. Does it seem like that's been that long?
Right. It goes fast.
It goes by fast, gentlemen.
What I want to talk about, though, is you guys had a first project, correct? You had a project before, right? So what?
No. Their project is over. They have a holding MetaLab that has multiple projects underneath.
Sure. Okay. And so one of those, what I'm saying though is like, when did that? Tell us how that started to form.
Yeah.
You guys were in the Discords. You're talking, right? GP, you're learning Discord. You're in there. You're in the chat. You're grinding. David, you're doing the same. You said you were kind of hanging back, watching, learning, losing money like all of us did from September to now. We feel you on that. So as that process is going, tell us how this how do we get, what gave you the idea? What was the spark? What got you moving into what you're doing now?
This project, the foundation of this project started in this, and the main idea was to fractionalize property. Again, it's, we are not going far from the background.
Right.
To simply build up, you can call it real estate fund, but it's not a real estate fund, because at the end we have to stay in the NFT space, and we have to keep all of the elements of gaming, all of the elements of enjoyment, all of the elements of art, and all what is what we call NFT.
Okay.
But
hold on.
Have an ecosystem.
You cut out there a little bit. So you said
so to have
go ahead.
In this last December, when the grind was really hot, I have seen the flipping was basically the ID influencers were pushing it, and I was saying this is stupid, because at the end we are just doing a Ponzi a game,
Yep.
and somebody will lose at the end because you need at the end somebody who is buying your product for 10 times more than you bought it. So that's not a sustainable model for a person who understands a bit business, right? And this is what for me was a feeling like, okay, guys, let's do it. But I felt it's too early, and this was the reason why we really decided to start slow. And in January already, we felt the bear market is coming. The market was super hot, by the way, but I felt summertime will big cooling down. Many people will lose, and how they came, they will leave. So we have to wait. So basically, we started the project in March, and then we decided a slow build, and we are still withholding because we have to wait for the new wave
Right.
when the market will be better.
Right.
It's not a horse race what we have to do. We don't have a short goal to have a freemium project, flip it for 5x and leave. No.
Right.
I would like to see a real ecosystem which is sustainable and not only depends on the royalty, or not only depends on the price increasement or crazy hype.
Yeah.
I don't believe personally in hype project.
Right.
So if you ask me, I'm not buying really high projects. I'm buying mostly penny projects, or which has either art or has a sort of utility, which will be interesting in the future.
Yep. Love it.
Our goal was and still to create an ecosystem which has IRL income, which has IRL benefits, but is keeping the gaming effect, keeping the fun part, keeping the real NFT fun part, and it's all elements are together. So that's the reason why we are not talking about one project. Calyon MetaLab will host 11 projects, because for the ecosystem you need such a quantity of people. It's simply, this is one of the key problem of all projects, which is coming 5K, 10K collections, will end up with 1,000, between 3,000 holders in the best case scenario. This is what we have. This is simply not enough, because you don't have the critical mass. It's not possible to create an ecosystem. Everybody now is struggling with their own token. They cannot find a real use for that, or they cannot put down the liquidity pool, because the ecosystem cannot work on 1,000 people. There is no such an ecosystem. Think about a small village in real life. Can a village survive with 1,000 or 2,000 people? Most of the villages are not able to sustain their own school. They're not able to sustain their own police officer, and so on and so on. It's not so much difference. You need 40, 50,000 people to be able to see an ecosystem which eventually works if it's in good hands. So
what an interesting, we have not heard somebody say it that way, and I love that thought process.
Now, is this the real estate development coming out when you see this? Is that also something you experience there? Because you just used that village analogy kind of aptly.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
If you don't have demography in a city, if you don't have the quantity of people, basically you are offering the one and only for 5 people. This is a very, very risky, and you have 1 to 5% chance to win. If you go to a big city when you have 8 million people, like in London, and you create, 300 apartments in one place, obviously you have much bigger possibility to sell. So the chance to win is far better. When comes the sun, if you build 300 apartments, it's always easier to pay for the right management than you build 3 apartments when you don't have management money. And when comes analogy to NFT space, if you have a Discord channel and you want to keep it up and running with mods, it will cost you 5 to 10K per month. So you need a serious volume to be able to maintain your just Discord. And I'm not talking about marketing and all of the gaming effect, dev, and so on, what you need. Don't even mention the legal. So that's why you need a critical mass when it comes to volume. And you can have an elite project with 20 ETH floor price, with 1,000, 2,000 holders. But it's a very risky, because for the first wrong move, the whole story can collapse and you don't have any more liquidity to finance your operation. When you have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people, Obviously, you can collapse, but at least you have more legs or feet to stand on, and you can have a community, a real community, who is eventually supporting you. 1,000 people are not really a big community, and don't want to hurt project's feelings. So don't get me wrong, guys. And I believe the 2023 will be the year of the merge, and I think many projects will merge with other projects to reach the mass, the critical mass, what's needed, because the survival will be key. You can every project cannot run a Discord, a Twitter, marketing, legal side doesn't work.
I love this thought concept, because it's opposite of everything that you hear in the space, and I think you have a very good, strong point. So, fractionalization of real estate, building the masses, and hence why you have 11 entities. Love this. What I'm going to do before we go down into the minutia of, we have 3 entities sitting on the screen, and we can talk about the 11 entities, or we can just keep it the 3 entities. I want either you, GP, or David. I want to ask who wants to be in charge of the 2 to 3 minute elevator pitch of why am I spending my hard-earned money on Calyon MetaLab or any of these individual projects, Blue Bay, Eagle, or the third?
My elevator speech is quite simple.
Okay.
Either trust people like we are, and you are coming, you understand the elements of projects, and you like it, and you come in, or you don't. And for that, we have to explain detailed way. We know that. It cannot be explained the ecosystem in 3 minutes, because for that is too complicated.
Yep.
But I think if somebody is interested, we are always happy to explain. In nutshell, we have 3 projects now, what you are mentioning. One is fractionalization of blue chip NFTs to keep the NFT elements and grow together with the price. The other is the Eagle project, which is about real estate fractionalization. We are talking about income-based properties, which are producing every single year significant income. The third one is the Monaco OG Club, which is a real club when it comes benefits IRL club memberships and very interesting Monaco-based. So this is not just name. This is really Monaco-based club we are talking about. And that Monaco club is hosting the game, mostly casino-type games, which are key part of the whole ecosystem, because all projects, Blue Bay, Eagle, will earn, the holders will earn reward tokens, and they can play in the games. When the end of the games, they can buy gold, diamonds, watches, and so on, which is real life, so not virtual gold, and will be delivered to the address when somebody bought it. So, but it's, I love to not build up big dreams and big names and big money behind. I love to show the real ecosystem behind.
Right.
And this is, again, the project has to be big enough to survive, to be able to pay for the cost, has to have good management. We have a couple of good people, because now 2 of us on the screen, but we have 5 other people are involved. And this is very important. So not take the whole show. They are very, very crucial part of the team. Mm-hmm. This was just a situation now we could join because of the night, but we have very, very good co-founders and other founder. So it's a very important part. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you a real elevator speech.
No, like you did. I think you did. I think you did it effectively. I think you did it in. We have 3 entities. These all serve different purposes, but at the end of the day, we're building a large community ecosystem to be able to be sustainable. And that what's interesting is you're the first person that has used "we need more to sustain," which is a really interesting narrative. I'm going to put you on the spot, David, and now you have a chance to do your own 2 to 3 minute elevator pitch, knowing that, listen, you can't, you know, when you're in the startup room and you got to pitch your idea, even if you have 11 entities, they want the meat of the situation. So,
and I want to guide it a little bit, Mike, because GP, yours was an excellent pitch to somebody like Mike or myself.
right.
I would listen to that and you would have my attention. What I'm curious, David, for you is if you were talking to a friend or a colleague or something like that who was also 18, 19, 20 years old, how would you pitch what this project is doing in 2 to 3 minutes?
I like that.
Right? Because they may not even be familiar with the space. And if they're like, wait, what are you doing? Like, what is your quick answer to that kind of helps succinctly give them an idea? That's what we're after.
I really love this way of approaching it because it's true. Most of my friends, they are clueless of what I do. So I always try to explain it, to sum it up. So I really love it. And I always try to keep it simple. I try to explain to them, not even go into detail of what NFTs are, trying to really sell the whole idea as it's a club. It's something that you would want to be part of. And for that to succeed, there are some things that have to be done. So there's a few steps that have to be taken, and we have different sort of chains. So I would put them in different chains as the fractionalization of real estate, fractionalization of blue chip assets, and the club element. And these three together give you a pack unlike anything else, in my opinion. And this is always where I try to convince them that we aren't trying to pull you into this world. We're trying to merge the two worlds together. So the fact that you don't understand it now, that's fine, because we will guide you through it if you're already interested with the main idea and the concept. So getting sort of a closer relationship to NFTs in general due to the blue chips, getting a closer relationship to real estate, which is a huge industry and it's very valuable, especially in my opinion, and getting an aspect to what an NFT community is supposed to feel like. Build it together, make connections, have that network which you can't access anywhere else, and kind of, it's especially that third element that will get them to understand the whole pack. And I think it's beautiful, but to build it up, it's always hard, of course, with my friends at my age or even at older ages.
Sure. Right.
The attention span of people is quite short.
Yeah.
And I am one of those people, so I am
yes.
completely vulnerable.
Right.
But
I think you did it
my
man.
way.
Yeah, I think that is a very interesting way of presenting it too. Saying that like, hey, we have the community aspect, we can get you into the NFT aspect, but we also have some practical, real life element of helping you grow wealth as well. And something that we think has been obviously proved time and time again that real estate is important in an overall wealth portfolio management, right? Really, I think that was good, man. I mean, I think that was
that was a fantastic answer.
I'm sorry to say this, GP, but your son just blew you out of the water on that elevator pitch.
That was good.
That was damn good. Because I think what you did, which I think is important, and you actually even prefaced this by when you started with it, is I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of trying to explain an NFT. I got to do it in a simple, relatable manner, and what you did. So I think if you continue that narrative and practice that and hone that in, that's going to benefit both of you greatly. I love that. Maddie, do you have something?
No, dude, I was gonna say, I mean, if you want to take credit, JP or GP, just say you are a great teacher, right? So that way you can, both of you really win here. That's the best part. Right. You're on the same team. No, I think that's great. And what I think is really cool is when you split it, I'll say it this way, when you split it up into 3 different categories, what's neat about that is my background from sales is, you want to have the largest audience you can, right? So when you talk about the idea of like the NFT blue chip side, you're going to get a group of people that are interested, right? But when you talk about the real estate side, right? You're going to get a different group of people that are interested. And then when you talk about the community club, a place to belong side, you're going to get a different group of people interested, right? And so it's like you're really putting as many lines out in the water as you can, which is important because that's you need to bring people from different areas in here for this to work, especially to create the ecosystem and the economy and the system and the community that you were talking about, GP. 40, 50,000 people, that's difficult to maintain if all you're talking about is NFT blue chip, right? But just real estate alone, I mean, good grief, some of these real estate companies, I mean, are massive entities, and they're starting to read the writing on the wall. I mean, look, MasterCard just signed a deal with Binance, right, to so you can start buying regular things with crypto. These massive companies are starting to get it. Just like you said, the next 5 to 15 years, it's going to be a massive shift. And just like you were able to capitalize and get in there in Hungary, right? When everything started to shift there and be first, it sounds like you guys are positioning yourselves to kind of take advantage of that in a similar way here. And so, yeah, I think it's fantastic. I think it's a smart way to be thinking about it, and I think it's a good way to get as many people interested as possible.
Yeah,
So it's awesome.
I love it. And so, and I'm assuming you thought about this. What I think is probably the most unique of no one's presented, hey, we're creating multiple NFTs because, but adding that third piece of the Monaco as a community aspect, if you can drive community, even though these entities are different throughout these brands, that is a massive potential. And I think you realize that, GP, hence why you did that. We are, I want to be, I know it's probably later for you guys, so I want to be cognizant of time. I think we have, we actually lied to you in the beginning. We always have 2 questions at the end for you, but they're very easy questions, so don't worry about that. To kind of wrap it up. But before we get there, I actually want to talk about each of these individual projects. And then obviously after that, if you want to hint on the whole 11 portfolio, that would be great. But I think it probably might make sense to go through, is Blue Bay coming first? Is Eagle next? Or how do these all interrelate? I'll let you guys kind of decide, but kind of run us through the projects and the specifics of each, and then maybe wrap it up and how these all intertwine.
So first is the community, and the actual space is too quiet, too cold, too frustrated to build a positive community. Right. We are doing it. We are working on it. We decided to take it slow, and we don't mind to wait. Mm-hmm. So we are investing the time, whatever is required.
Yep.
If we have to wait for a year, we will wait for a year. So it's no rush here.
Okay.
So when comes timing, when Blue Bay, Eagle, Monaco will come whenever the space is ready. We are ready. So from our side, we are doing whatever we have to. A lot of works are behind. The team is working very hard. The game development is already ongoing. So a lot of things are already in the background,
okay.
Far more advanced than supposed to be or than other projects would do. But now is we have no choice. We have to build a community. We have to wait for the right moment. So most likely these projects are coming one after to the other. And if I have to now guess, that will not come before November. We will see. Depends on really the how the space is building up again.
Yep.
We are not expecting now this kind of super hype pump, but we would like to see new people are joining the space. And I think companies like Starbucks in September or the BlackRock purchasing the last months in Coinbase, all of these moves are slowly putting more and more spotlight on our space.
Yep.
And I think people will start to understand slowly. And I expect another 1 million, 2 million people to come in. Obviously, I don't know the date, but not in years.
Yep.
Let's say in half a year.
Yep.
And I think that is a good time to show ourselves to those people who are not frustrated or not really the flippers who want to make a quick flip in 2 minutes.
Yep.
And this is when it comes timing. I think we cannot say an exact date, we are waiting for this, I would say, macroeconomical situation when the space is ready. And we would like to together.
Another amazing answer. I think that honestly, I think personally that's the right answer. We talked to a lot of projects that say, hey, we're going to mint now, but we're going to change our supply and our price. And it's like, well, if you're going to do that, like, you know, maybe it does make sense to wait and continue to build. So it's interesting. And what's also nice is my assumption is you've been a successful entrepreneur, so you have that luxury. A lot of these people are their lifeline is based off the NFT, so you're able to at least use some money to continue to build during hard times like this. So I think that's a really good answer. Do you want to go through each project right now, or more leave it to we're building Calyon MetaLabs and, you know, stop by the Discord and grow with us in our community? Totally up to you all.
I think we said before what has to be said now.
Okay.
Bluebay is focusing to purchasing blue chip NFTs, and the holders will benefit of the price of the value increase plus reward tokens. And blue chip also will trade with those NFTs. So eventually profit is coming. This is also distributed between holders, and this is Bluebay.
Yeah.
When comes Eagle is buying a property which we have already in our, let's say, reserved in our portfolio. So we have the property itself, but we are fractionalizing. It's a $25 million /30 million property, which has yearly already around $1 million revenue. So it's a big baby, and we would like to fractionalize this one, which is creating already revenue. The revenue goes already back to holders, not directly, but indirectly. A lot of legal issues are involved here.
Right.
You cannot do that, and we have to be in line with SEC. We have to be in line with all of the regulations in Europe, in France, and so we are taking care of all. We cannot sell an asset and transfer the rent fee back to holders. It doesn't work.
Well, wait. 98% of the NFT community will convince you that you can do that, but they're not doing it legally.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good to hear you say that.
No, that doesn't work. So I'm sending best regards to everyone. If you want to go to jail or
good luck, but I'm not going to go through that headache.
Right. Exactly.
No, this is not the route. So we have to do it crystal clear. And that's why I'm saying the fraction Eagle is buying the property, but the rental is not going directly to the holders.
Right.
That's going in an indirect way through the club, through the games.
Yep.
And that's why somebody will get a gain of the property price increasement / the revenue what comes in is supporting the reward token. I'm calling it this way. And the third project is the Monaco OG Club, which is a real club with real members, with many Monaco and Monaco-based events, from the yacht experience to the many other things which financed by rent fee, as I said, indirectly is going back. And that's why that's an interesting part, because not the same project will distribute benefits. Another project will distribute benefits. Right. Here comes the legal and legal part of the story. By the way, that took us almost 4 months legal work to go through how to do it, because 99% of the lawyers were telling us at the beginning that doesn't work.
Doesn't. Yeah, it's not happening.
Yeah. So the Monaco OG Club is a real club, valuable. And also my network, my friends are there. We are Monaco based since more than 20 years, by the way. So I am there since quite a while. So we are not just offering a yacht experience. We are offering a club feeling and club network with valuable members. And members who, for example, have no crypto wallets, but they have significant, I would say, access to many things in the world.
Yeah.
Okay, let's call it this way. And this is the free in nutshell. And obviously the details are much more intensive discussions. Everybody will have different questions here. How the legal right, how the income, what is the benefit. I wouldn't enter. I think it's better to keep it simple this way.
I'll also say most of the community is probably not going to ask any of the pertinent questions anyway. Most of them are going to be like me, which is I don't need to necessarily know that it's legal. I just need to know that it's not illegal. There's a gray area there. Lawyers talk about this a lot, and I think we all know what I'm saying. And so it sounds like you've done the process to make sure that it's not illegal. And that's all I need to know, man. You're good to go.
Yeah.
So
No, that's
I
good.
am more conservative here. I want
Yeah.
to make sure it is legal.
I will say that, so I can feel you, because coming from a traditional brick and mortar business ownership background, people do not realize, like, there's a lot of people in this space who have no idea how much time, effort, and money it takes just to set up before you even talking about moving bricks, wood, anything, you're not even lifting a hammer. There's so much work that goes into a project. And it takes so much time. And when you start talking about zoning and regulations, and of course local government, and then all of the different factors that come into play, and safety regulations, and disability compliance, there's so many things that come into it. And so when you talk about in real life components, and we've said this before, you can't ignore that, right? There's no way to have an in real life component to an NFT project and just expect it to happen in 2 weeks just because your digital roadmap on your website said so, right? It just takes time. And I think that that's something, what I like that you guys are saying is you're not hiding from that. In fact, you're just straight up owning it and saying, we're not in a rush. We're going to do it. We're going to do it right. And we're not going to apologize for it. So I think there's something to be said there.
100%. And with all of that being said, David, do you have anything to add into there, or kind of your version of how you think about the Calyon MetaLab and the 3 projects individually?
I don't want to extend too much on it because I think we've really talked it through and got a nice grasp of it. So I'll just leave it on the table as it is. Okay,
cool. Well, gents, so the only, I think, two questions. Timing is obviously you're taking your time and you're doing it right. With knowing that you have technically 4 entities on the screen, I've got 2 questions. First question is, have you figured out the logistics or perks and benefits of, hey, I believe in you as a team? Because back to what Maddie and I think about, right? Like, I saw the Midlife Crisis podcast. David, father and son duo, super cool. He's going to be able to learn. GP's got his shit together. He's a sharp guy. I'm interested in this. But I'm only interested in Eagle and the real estate aspect. If I'm buying into that, what does the relationship look like with the other projects? Have you gone through those logistics? Anything to speak about? Do we really think of these as individual entities, or different entities benefiting each other in different ways?
Different entities for many reasons. If somebody wants to own, as you mentioned before, as Matty mentioned, it's a totally different type of people are looking for fractionalized real estate, or fractionalized blue chip, or community.
Gotcha.
It's 100% true. So these different entities have different legal background, reason why this entity exists, right? If the property ownership is owned by one legal entity, that cannot be mixed with another legal entity which own blue chip NFTs. So if somebody is interested in one project or in the other one, that works. Absolutely. You don't have to buy in all. Which getting more interesting if you want to maximize your income, so-called reward tokens / game tokens, which is leading to valuable merches.
Right.
Then you have to buy one Monaco OG Club NFT as well. Why? You have to be a club member to be able to play on the game, where you can swap your reward tokens for valuable merches.
Gotcha.
And this is the relation. So if you want to come because you want to own a fractionalized blue chip NFT, you do that. But you have to become a part to our community in the Monaco OG Club, at least for the moment when you want to swap your token. Why is it important? Why is it important? Because when comes 11 projects and 5 fractionalized blue chip, 5 real estate, we are talking about 10 projects which eventually can have 20 to 40,000 holders. We will see how many. But we have just 10,000 Monaco OG Club NFTs, meaning the supply is less than demand to be able to maximize your profit, your income. So you have to buy and you have to sell, because you will not keep it, because people will pay more and more. So basically we create an ecosystem when Monaco OG Club NFT will have a far bigger liquidity, because people will buy it for a day or two until they can swap their reward tokens from Bluebay.
Interesting.
And that is creating loyalty, that is creating constant move, creating come in, go out, come in, come back, again a new thing. So the community will be constantly a community.
Interesting. So you're almost gamifying your entities within your whole lab, which is, again, a concept that I have not heard of, really.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great idea. But there could be benefits for holding, obviously, because you really believe in the club part and you just want to hold that, and you know, if it works out right, that will go up in value and you'll be benefited that way as well.
100%.
Awesome.
But we have to keep the game element. We have to have fun. This Web3 is not just dry paperwork, right? We have to be a community. We have to have fun. That's also part of life.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So, do each of these projects have their own Discords? If I hear this podcast, I'm in. I like all of the ideas. I want to be a part of your community. Where do I go? What do I do?
We have one Discord now, and we are keeping like this until the space will not change direction. So we would like to, we are not asking anyone to grind, anyone to come. If they want to come, we are happy. If they want to just chill out, then come and chill out. If you're interested, ask what you want to ask. We are not looking for grinders. We would like to build a strong community. If it's small and strong now, it's okay. With time, we grow. So again, one Discord channel, all projects get the support, and but the main part, what David is doing Monday, Friday, Twitter Spaces, and I think that's what we treat like the meeting point. And as we realize, and David can talk about it, why we feel now Twitter is better than the Discord.
Yeah. So great segue into that. Before, we'll go into that. So, David, one thing, would love to join you on a Twitter Space. I love Twitter Spaces. Totally would do one with you if you're open to it, because I think we'd have a blast together.
100%. 900%.
All right, we're doing it. 2, can you talk about your experiences with the Twitter Spaces and your continued plan? Like, where are you getting the content? And then followed up by your dad saying why you're convinced Twitter seems to be the better place right now. And do you think it'll go back to Discord, or do you feel like Twitter's here to stay?
So Twitter is an interesting area because you're fighting an algorithm and everyone is on the same sort of playing field. So, you know, you're using the same hashtags, but you can kind of crack the code slowly and steady. And Twitter currently is the area where you can find the most growth and you can actually see the numbers. So people can DM, you can share, and you get access to, you know, the whole NFT community almost just by hashtags. On Discord, hashtags don't exist. You can't really share your Discord server with anyone else if that person doesn't invite someone over.
Mm-hmm.
So already the whole word of mouth is harder, and to kind of project your project to get it out so that more people can see it. Twitter is the main area that I find is, well, first of all, effective
Sure.
and easy to use. So, we've also looked into Instagram as another social media, but Instagram is very visual. It's great for projects who have 4K quality art or something that's animated. But most of the community, I feel, especially NFT, you can find it on Twitter. And Discords are quiet, which also kind of leads people to be scared. So whenever they enter a Discord server, regardless which server it is, it's very quiet. And people are scared to even pop in and say a hello because
Yes.
they tend to see that the last message was 6, 7 hours ago.
Yep.
And I understand it. It's totally normal. And that's why Twitter is less engaging, but a Twitter space is more engaging. You get to talk to people, you get to see if it's laughing emojis, whatever, you kind of get a vibe out of a Twitter space. You kind of get a feeling of who is who.
Right.
And we're very open to having anyone up on stage because, as GP has mentioned, and I really support this idea, everyone is learning in the space. So if I'm a host at a Twitter space, it doesn't matter to me what is written under the account that I'm using. I don't care if I'm a host, a speaker, or a listener. I will value myself the same way as I'm a learner. So that's why I try to not scare people away from what position I'm holding in a Twitter space, because it doesn't matter that what I'm saying is more important of what you're saying. And I think that's very important. And that's why I really like Twitter spaces. And I love to do them. I love to listen to them because there's a lot of information that gets put through in such a short amount of time. And it's the most effective area in the NFT space currently, in my opinion.
Right. Love it, man. Love it. What? Damn, man. You got a good presence about yourself. Really well put together, man. I'm super
I like
impressed.
it.
JP, listen. I'm not going to give you all the credit, GP, but GP did a damn good job because I know David is his own individual, right? So to close this out, I'll go ahead.
I'm lucky. He give the credit to David. I think that he deserves it. He's
Yeah.
fighting hard to learn. So
I can tell. I can tell that you're just trying to soak it up, David, and learn and grow. And I mean, honestly, that mentality that you had right there is like, you have an opinion, you have a narrative, but as long as you're open to learning, like that's a lifelong lesson right there. And if you grab onto that, you're going to be a better person each year that you grow, man. So it's cool to hear you with that mindset. Because guess what? I was caring about getting real drunk at 18. I didn't even know what the hell any of this meant. So you're heading down the right path. Yeah, I think, we, like I said, we're 2 hour and 45 minutes. We're approaching 2 hours here quickly. Amazing conversations. Been really, really cool to have this dynamic. First father and son combo. Love that we had this opportunity. Already in the middle of DM Vex just to say thanks a lot, man. Like so happy that he brought you on the show. I'm going to give you both two, chances to kind of say any final notes. And then I have 2 questions for you. But the final, go ahead, Manny.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry. What would you say so far during this, though? It's one thing because, David, you said you've been hanging out watching since September, right? And not as investing as much. And GP, you said you've invested some. Obviously, you were back during Bitcoin, things like that. What has starting and managing and running a project taught you that before just watching in the space, you wouldn't have known?
That's a great question.
Me
I'd like to hear that from
personally,
both of you.
for me, it's the management aspect behind it. So it always looks easier from the outside than when you're sitting in the cockpit. And
Yeah.
it's easy to quickly judge the negatives on what a project should do, why this or that is not ready. I was one of those people. And I quickly got to learn that, it's a whole process. It's still a business. It's not just a simple
Yep.
game. And there's a lot of steps that you have to go through, and certain things things take a really long time. So you have to plan ahead. And it's normal that some people manage that better and some people don't. So that's my feedback on this.
Love it.
Okay.
How about you, GP?
I have no surprise, to be honest. It's happening like in real life.
Yeah.
I don't see the difference. Life is about, and every business about problem management and coordination, delegate and talk and team building. We have the same issues, and these problems are coming up. Something happens. You have to find solutions right now. You have to be transparent, communicate. It's the same. Like I feel no difference because at the end, people are behind. So this is the most important part. Why people would be different here, like subcontractors, contractors, workers, or teammates, or mates, or founders, like in real life in a company when you have other founders, co-founders, shareholders, management, and people. So for me, it's no surprise, to be honest.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. And I think that's the narrative that we're hearing more and more is that, you know, NFTs and the ones that will be around 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now are companies. And if you don't run it like a company, it ain't gonna last long at all.
It's toast.
So before we ask our last two questions, any last thoughts about David, the project, but like Calyon MetaLab as an entity or the individual projects? Any other final thoughts for the community?
No, I really don't want to add more onto it because I know it's a lot to kind of digest. So I just want to let it sit.
Okay, cool. No, I love it. And then GP, just final opportunity to add on to any of your entities or the lab as a whole. Good to go?
I think we were going through and I really like it. I wouldn't change any element of the plan.
I think you guys did a great job.
Yeah, nailed it.
And so we have two last questions. The first question is for both of you. Do you have any questions for Maddie and I? We just peppered you with questions for an hour and 45 minutes. If you don't have any, totally fine, because I know this is kind of putting you on the spot short notice, but we want to make sure that you can ask us questions as well.
I have.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you go first, GP.
I wanted to ask, what was your inspiration? I mean, I can tell you guys have a really great dynamic, but what was the inspiration to putting this dynamic into a podcast or Twitch and YouTube live stream style idea?
Damn, that's a great question. That is no one's asked that question yet.
So here's
Maddie,
how I'll answer that. Here's how I answer that. So remember, Mikey and I, we've known each other for 30 years, right? So a lot of the dynamics between us, I mean, we've known each other for so long. I know the things that Mikey's going to think about. He knows the things I'm going to think about. And so we've been friends for a long time. So that's one component. The second component is when COVID had everything on lockdown, we were just hanging out gaming. And honestly, this was the kind of stuff we were doing. We were just talking to people randomly on video games, and we would get into conversations like this. You know, it's like, oh, who are you? What do you do? How in the heck did you get into that? And we would just riff and have these amazing conversations, just like we were talking about on Discord. You never know who you're next to, right? And we're meeting these people and we're talking about, you know, craft beers or different, you know, cultures and the people from all around the world. And it was fascinating. And so that got us really interested in the idea of doing our own Twitch channel for gaming. And quite frankly, that is where a lot of that happened. We spent a lot of time streaming, playing games, but really talking to people and getting to know them. And, you know, a lot of it was, I mean, we had no idea what the heck we were doing in half of these video games. So we were being kind of carried through a lot of that. And it just so happened as Mike got into NFTs through everything that was going on with Cool Cats and then moved in as a hate mod, we just started getting more and more people in our chat and our feed asking questions about NFTs. And what happened was we started having those conversations more, and it just morphed from, well, there's no sense in we're sitting here, we're pausing the video game for 3 hours to talk about NFTs. Maybe we should just talk about NFTs. And it grew from there. And it was just fascinating because we both love to learn. We love meeting new people. We're fascinated by, again, peeking behind that curtain and seeing Oz and saying, how does this work? How does this tick? Because, don't have as many years experience as GP in the career world, but I got quite a few and I've seen a lot of things. And at the end of the day, man, if you can read people and you can work with people, you can do any of it, right? At the end of the day, you have to understand how to treat people, respect people, be kind, pay it forward. And when people do that, the network you build in your lifetime is infinitely more valuable than any one sale will ever be, right? And so that's something that Mike and I are passionate about, and paying that forward in a way where we can build other people up. And we love being able to provide a venue for it. So that's our answer in terms of how it ended up in this venue. And a podcast, YouTube is one of the greatest ways to get that out there. Just take advantage of it and share what it is we love to do.
Wait, hold on. Don't stop. I've got an angle on this too, which is a completely different angle. And so I will say, we are really aptly named Midlife Crisis. And I think if Maddie and I started streaming 5 years before COVID, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. So I think a couple things. One, we really had midlife crises. We had some shit go on in our lives that made us take a step back and really figure out what matters to us. One of the things that has always mattered to us, and we had this narrative since we were little, was building wealth with your best friend. What a cooler thing to do, right? So we started talking about that. But then, too, I think to where Matt ended is these really trying times in life also really made us double down on what we're interested in, make us really self-aware of who we are. And, as Maddie and I started to reconnect through video games and talking, it was almost this like unspoken thing that I was like, Maddie knows. Maddie is the one person that I have met so far, because I've had a bajillion ideas, that has the mindset I know that it takes to be successful. And it's the simple things, right? Constant pursuit of learning, paying it forward, being kind, being honest, even though it's hard to do. Like, these are the pillars. And we spent well over a month and a half creating our mission statement, which is bringing back the lost art of genuine human connections, and the pillars that led up to it. And it's because we too firmly, as best friends, believe in the same way, and we complement each other the same way. And once I saw us streaming, and like Matt said, the conversations and the meeting the people, that's what we're passionate about. And then once we started doing NFTs, we've now gotten to the point where we've built a passionate community that understands the difference in the value we bring, because everyone else out there is doing the 1,000x your bag, buy this project, hype. We just bring a totally different flavor to the game. And I truly believe that what we bring is important and can be successful. So that's my take on it.
Great question.
Guys, I really want to bounce back on the last thing you guys mentioned. You guys really bring a kindness and a wholehearted experience, and it's amazing. And I love what you guys do. Seriously, I'm not trying to score points. I'm trying to be honest here, and I sincerely appreciate you guys just taking the time in general, because it's hard to take so much time of your life and put it into something. And you guys chose to commit, and you enjoy what you do, from what I see.
Y'all love it.
And that's
We
really
do.
important.
We love it.
Yeah.
So
Thanks,
this
man.
is great.
Thanks.
Thank
man.
you.
I really
Thank you very much
it.
for those words.
All right, GP, what do you got for us?
I just want to this convo, I think it's very important to understand also for everyone who is listening to you guys, not just now and always, like you don't have to do what you do, but you are doing it. And for all of the listener people who are in that. And I think it's a very important message what people have to understand. You are doing with your heart, from your time, and you are doing for your community, and you don't have to do what you do. And this is a very important. Everybody who is listening has to just think a moment on it, because that's a very interesting thought.
No, I
That
love
just
that. Dude, that gave me a little bit of
T-shirt
chills, man.
number 4 right there.
Dude,
I love it.
You got me a little
So-
goosebumpy there, man. I
No, guys,
appreciate that. Do you have any
this is
questions for
very
us, or was it more that comment?
No. I have my questions, actually,
Okay.
two.
Okay.
I see a problem when comes languages in the
Uh-huh.
NFT space.
Yes.
Sure.
How you would solve this problem in the NFT space, on which platform or which way or which AI or which whatever, what would be your idea to put the space in a common language, meaning eventually everybody would speak on their own, but the listener would listen on their own, and so on? Because I think that would be an interesting question. This
No,
is the question.
it's a super interesting question. Nor have I've and I think the best answer that I've seen, and it wasn't a good answer, was what Hape did. They really doubled down on their channels, as in, there was a channel for pretty much every major country that was into NFTs, and they had specific mods for those channels. Where the breakdown was the main chat that was English got the most attention, right?
Yep.
So there were tons of people from Mexico or Spain or Germany, right? They're speaking German in the Hape Discord, but a handful of those people got selected for a Hape list. They didn't get the fair shake and look. So I think right now that's about the best temporary solution that I've seen.
Yeah.
Two.
I personally would love to see when a person from India can talk to a person from California without having the language issues.
Right.
I think that would be a really big step in it.
Right.
So here's what I would say with that, right? First thing is there's two parts to your answer, right? The investment community ran into this, right? When Wall Street's there and people are making billions of dollars, what the world did is said, okay, well, we may not like it, but if Wall Street's in English, the people who wanted to participate in it spoke English, right? And so what's interesting is whether they're from China, from Mexico, from wherever, right? You're seeing people who want to speak in the finance world, they just simply had to have English as a component, right? Because not everybody is you, David, and speaks 4 languages, and now a 5th, apparently, given the NFT language, right? And so, they just learned English. So I think, at least for now, that's going to be kind of the North Star of crypto for now. What I think is happening is, ironically, the technology is solving this, right? Google has already gotten to a point where you can speak in a normal pace it's something like 60 or so languages at this point,
Yep.
and it will listen to what you are saying and it will translate it live. And not only live, audio, right? It will read it out, what you're saying in any of those languages, converting to another language, right?
Yep.
That's amazing, just thinking about that. Like, I remember growing up, that was something you would see on Star Trek. You know what I mean? That was not something that I thought was going to be real, because think about just the math from the linguistics standpoint to code that, right? Now, where that's going to get difficult is when you start talking about accents, nuances, dialects. There's a long road down that path, but they're learning it, and it's not just Google, right? There's other companies that are getting better at this and finding ways to basically AI real-time translate for you. And I think what's going to happen is you're going to see software that's developed and sold to things like Twitter, where if you want to hold a Twitter space, right, this can be running in the background as part of essentially like just an API, or like it's really just a background piece of software, and it's just going to do it automatically, right? And so that's I think where the future is going to go. I think we're right there at this point. I mean, quite frankly, I have a Google Pixel phone. I have that API right on my phone, so I can speak to you now in Hungarian, and it'll say it for me in Hungarian, right? And so that's pretty amazing where we're at. I think it's only going to get better, but I think that's going to have to be what it does. It's going to have to be a software solution to
Right.
simply create that bridge.
Yep. And so two things that onto that. Matt sparked a thought. We actually have or had a guy who is he was from Ukraine actually. He was in our chat all the time, and he just used straight Google Translate. Couldn't speak a lick of English, but wrote pretty good English, and that was all he was doing, was talking into his phone.
Yep.
Which was really interesting. One of our head mods, Stargirl, she's in chat right now. She runs as head manager for another project called Clementine Nightmare. And there is a website called DeepL Translate that they use to kind of create the narrative across languages. So you can check that out. I'll put the link in Discord, in our group Discord chat, so you can mess with that. So there's already it's there. So yeah, I would think and honestly, the third is maybe that's a Web3 NFT idea. What can we do with that? Creating a common language solution with an NFT project. Boom. Add that as one of, you don't have 11 projects now, you got 12.
There you go.
You just got a new idea. Awesome. No, great question. What was the second one?
The second one is, you will see where I'm heading to. You are a professional when it comes podcasting, video, YouTube. You are in this field. You are doing great.
Thank you.
Would you feel to join other podcasters and put together a 24/7 live TV channel when you have your part, they have their part, and it works in many languages in the future?
Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting thought too. And so we were linking up one of our buddy Asher. Maddie and I are a firm believer of more people is more effective, right? So if I have a podcaster that I believe and trust that is awake when I'm asleep, absolutely, if they can create quality content and continue to promote my brand, I'm 100% in. I think that would work and not hurt us at all. And we're already working on ideas for our community to be able to use our content, and they can build their own channels and monetize their own channels using our content. And that's just another way for we to say, hey, we're going to help you create wealth using our content, and it's going to benefit us. Like, we're in it to win it together. And I think that's the real power of the internet, Web3, and what we're doing, right? So yes, great question. I absolutely would be on board. If you have a solution, definitely send us a DM.
Let's talk.
I would definitely move in that direction. I bought also the ENS domain, online media, and not by chance.
I love it.
It's simply, I believe in this space, has to take over certain things, and we have to start to communicate to each other directly without distributors and channels which are filtering our messages.
I love it.
And I would like to see, like, you guys who are doing this perfectly, and even that can be also an NFT project, because one day that can be a media channel, a real one, with 100,000 holders, 1 million holders. Everybody has an NFT to listen, because now you are happy to have another 50,000 people who are listening, but then you will have to have certain funds, which eventually can come through an NFT project. I'm just telling you, if you would do that, you have already one person who will mint.
Oh,
Me.
good. I appreciate it. Yeah, so we're I would love to continue to pick your brain about monetization, because we're there, and we're shortly launching a Patreon account, because we believe NFTs are a business, and we want to concentrate on building our content and brand presence now. But yes, I think it's a brilliant idea, and it's stuff that we think about for sure. So thank you, man. I appreciate that question and comment. And then the second question, you both have kind of already answered it, but more of a concise just answer. I'm sure you, like you said, David, you do Twitter Spaces. You might have done some AMAs before. We just like to ask, how do you think it went? What's the vibe compared to other things that you've done like this? Any final thoughts there? But I think you both have hinted throughout it, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I really appreciate what you're doing, and I really hope you're doing, and you're organizing people like yours together. And we have to, I think, to be in a space at the beginning, it's an opportunity for us to grow,
Right.
but it's also a responsibility to build. And this is, I think, a very important part. If you build it right, it will be a wonderful place. If you build it wrong,
it's going to be bad. Fun. Yeah. Thank you. Any other thoughts from you, David?
I just really want to say it's a pleasure, man. So it really was a pleasure. It is a pleasure.
Yeah,
and
thanks, man.
I do hope that we can still keep this whole contact going, because I really love both of your energies. So I wish all the best for you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Because I really feel you guys
Appreciate
deserve
that,
it.
man.
So,
likewise.
Dude, likewise too.
Yeah, so really, it's all joy all around.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's
yeah,
all I have to
and
add.
one thing I forgot to mention, or I always mention, more offline, but I can say it online, is all of our partners that we've had on the show, one, we just don't invite anybody on. We have to talk and vet, or have an acquaintance. But two, we really do look at this show as the beginning of our relationship, and we hope that it lasts multiple years. And we're here to help you out, and we're going to grow together, and I can't wait to see that. It's going to be beautiful. So thank you so much for everything. Matt, I'll give you your final, let you get the final thoughts. I'll give my final thoughts, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah. Okay. This has been a fantastic conversation. One of the things I love about what we do is meeting people is always a different experience each time, right? And so it's just fascinating because, just like Mikey said, first time in a situation where you have a father-son, in this situation, I love being able to ask questions from that angle. I love seeing the way both of you are thinking about this. I think you're bringing a little bit of old school work ethic, which is sorely needed in this time and day and age. I think you've developed that work ethic, David, and you're bringing some new school thoughts when it comes to the tech and the software. And I think that that's going to merge very, very well. And so I like the way you're doing this. As I said, I like that you have multiple venues to hit multiple different types of people and bring that attention. I'm curious to see how that all develops. But most importantly, I think one of the coolest things about this is it warms my heart to see a father-son building something together, because I have seen some amazing, how do I say this? You can build some amazing empires when family gets together and is tight knit with something like that. Do you know what I mean? And it's really neat to see. I think it's something that a lot of times is missed out there in the world. And I know how much it means to me to be building with my best buddy for 30 years. You know what I mean? And so I can only imagine how that feels to go from fishing trips and those memories to you're creating new memories now. You're starting with little fish again. You know what I mean? And that's just a really cool cycle to see how that perpetuates. And so I think you guys are doing great things. I'm excited to see where it goes. I am curious. I put in a little message here. I want to see how good Google is. Let me see if you can hear this. Let me see if it works.
Is this Hungarian?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna put it on screen. Tell me if this. Oh, hold on. I don't want to cheat. I gotta
He's Google translating something for you.
Yeah, I want to see how good its Hungarian is.
If you will check the Hungarian, I think one of the most difficult language, for no reason, by the way. We are using more than 1 million words. So Google Translator, it's not.
Oh, it's a digital weird little robot voice. You ready for this? Here you go.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it right?
It was like a Chinese person is speaking Hungarian, but it's.
But it was Hungarian? So you understood what it said?
You understood what he said. What did you say?
it was a thank you for the opportunity we were able to talk to.
See?
Bam.
It's here,
Bam.
gents. It's here.
Look
It's
at that.
happening.
That is it. Thank you for
Ah,
taking the time today. It spits it out in Hungarian, and all I do is press the little microphone, says it.
done.
It's gonna. We're closer than we think.
We're
so
way
I'm
closer than
impressed.
we think. Ah,
So
Well,
loved it.
guys, I really appreciate. Can I have just a small intro here?
Sure.
We have to say thank you for our team, Adam, Oleg, and Vax, because now we are two of us on the screen, but this is not the full truth.
Absolutely.
More people are working with big power, with really big heart, and they are really nice people. So shout out for our team members, Vax, Adam, and Oleg,
awesome.
everybody.
Yeah, no, that's nice. And I'll close it out by just saying my final thoughts. There's multiple things that jump into my head, but a couple of things at the top of the list. What Maddie said. How cool is it, father-son duo in a new space, being able to build something together? I think you both should own that. Use that to your advantage. Put it in part of your narrative and your story. I think it's intriguing. I think it's enticing to people. You don't see that a lot, especially in this space. Two, you're genuine. You're just honest, genuine, good people. And the space, you said it about us. We did it because we believe the space needs more of it. And people like you, as you continue to build this narrative, is what I think the right people will invest in, right? So like we said before, you can moon a project, but guess what? People are selling that shit and you have nothing a week later. If you continue to be genuine and be yourselves, you're going to build it the right way and do the long term. And that's what Maddie and I are doing. And it's just going to be cool to see that all together. Third, I love this narrative of we want, 8,000 people is not sustainable, but 50,000 is. So I think the space hasn't heard a lot of that. And I think continue to go down that narrative, because I'm sure you're immediately going to hear. And I honestly, my first thought was like, whoa, 11 projects is a lot. How do you manage all that? But once you explain it in the way that you explain it, and I think the special sauce of your explanation is, listen, I am a successful business entrepreneur, and I'm telling you, this is how the real world works. And if it works this way, same principles are most likely going to apply for Web3. And it made perfect sense when you explained it. So
the analogy was fantastic.
Continue that analogy, man. Amazing. And I think more people need to hear that. Finally, just appreciate you. You are more than welcome to come back. I'd love to have you back, when you have more developments in your project, so we can, catch up, see what's going on. And I'm just excited for you guys. Like GP, I think you have the experience. Life's going to kick you in the face a bajillion times. You just got to keep on getting back up and moving forward, right? But it's been a real pleasure, and it's been one of the more interesting, fun conversations that we've had. And finally, I mean, like you said it too, man, it meant a lot for you to say, like, we don't have to do this. My wife doesn't love me being in front of my computer all the time. And we're not perfect and happy all the time either. I have shitty days, but when I have a bad day and then I get to experience something like this, like you guys make what Maddie and I do worth all of the things that are, we lose out on, whether it be time or make up for our bad day. Like, listen, I had a good day today, but if I had a bad day, and Maddie and always and I debate, like, dude, I just don't want to stream tonight because I'm not in it. And then we have a conversation like this, and it just puts me right back into place of like, this is why we do what we do. So I appreciate you being you and giving us the chance to once again realize this is what we love to do, and we're going to keep on doing it. So thank you so much, gents. And with that being said, Midlife Crisis will be back Thursday night. Our boy Cade, YouTube extraordinaire and influencer, is going to be coming back for the first time in 6 months. We're going to vibe out, see how he's doing, how he's growing, and we're going to talk strategy and talk the NFT bear market, figure out how we can all be more tight-knit family and make things happen. We love you all. We will see you Thursday at the normal time, 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. Midlife